Welcome, everyone. I am Sue Tetzlaff. I am the co-founder of Capstone Leadership Solutions, and I am so delighted to welcome today our partners at Burnett Medical Center. And in particular, just to kind of tee up the showcase format. So at Capstone Leadership Solutions, our primary work is what we call partnerships. And in particular, that's with small and rural hospitals. So usually organizations with less than 1,000 employees, most between about 3 to 500 employees, most of them critical access hospitals like Burnett Medical Center. And so our work with them is pretty long-term work. So we've been working with Burnett since 2020. We don't come in typically and just do small little isolated changes or trainings or things of that. It's a multifaceted, truly transformational journey that they've been on. And this showcase format is a way for them to highlight what's working for them as a way to pay it forward and to share. We call it the case method: copy and steal everything, but make it yours and make it better. So we love paying forward the lessons, the learning, the tactics, and the results. And so our partners are always so gracious to be willing to share what they've been doing, what's been working, and the results they're getting with others. And today it's Burnett's turn, and we're so glad to have them here with us today. So Burnett Medical Center is located in Grantsburg, Wisconsin. We work a lot, obviously, with small and rural. So a lot of the places we're working are remote, small communities all around the country. And they started their work on what they call their Quest, which is their transformational initiative. They started that work in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. And they started that work during that time, and they'd been doing some things before that. In particular, when they came to us, they came really looking for some answers to improving the patient experience in particular. And what they learned quickly in their conversations with us about our approach is that the work that we've been doing, what our prior partners have demonstrated, is that if you want to improve the patient experience and become a provider of choice, you have to, in tandem or in parallel, improve the employee experience. And that has been kind of this magic formula that has worked over and over again, is to pair the work of improving the patient and employee experience together. So it's really interesting that they came to us really to improve their patient experience, but today they're going to showcase their employee experience. And I just think that that's so beautiful, because that is part of the pathway that's gotten them to seeing the results as both a provider and an employer of choice. So I'm so happy that we have Sarah and Hallie with us here today from Burnett Medical Center. Actually, to tee this up, there was supposed to be one more person from Burnett here with us today, Carol. And unfortunately, she's ill today and not able to present, but Hallie's going to cover that and make sure that that information is provided that was prepared. Sarah is actually going to represent the employee workforce and what they've been doing to help their organization. And Carol was going to present the frontline leader perspective, and Hallie's going to cover that. And then Hallie was going to cover and is going to cover the senior leader role and perspective. So really, it does take everyone to transform an organization and to adopt a new, better way of always getting better. And it takes the employees, it takes the frontline leaders, it takes the senior leaders. And that's the viewpoint they're going to share today about their transformation, is the various roles and the things that have been done by employees, frontline leaders, and senior leaders to get the results that they've been getting. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to you, Hallie, and you can take it from here.
All right. Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We, like Sue mentioned, are going to be talking about our Quest for Excellence transformational journey. And so we will start with that. What we'll be talking about today, we'll introduce ourselves a little bit more. We're going to be talking specifically about our Net Promoter Score. So for those of you that don't know what it is, I'll just dive into that real quickly. We'll show you what our Net Promoter Scores have been over the last couple of years. and then some tips and takeaways that we have as
Okay,
well.
I was late for you, so it's fine.
So Sarah.
My name is Sarah. I worked here in radiology for 15 years, and I am a part of the employee experience team.
And I am Hallie Pardun. I am the marketing director here at Burnett Medical Center. I have been here for 8 years. I am on the community and training team, and then also the steering team as a senior leader representative. And oh, just a fun fact too, Sarah and I have actually been on our teams since we started our journey in 2020. So that's pretty exciting too, to have her be by my side and help represent our teams. So just gonna go quickly over what a Net Promoter Score is. So this is something that we measure in order to measure our employees' willingness to recommend their workplace to family and or friends. So how it works is that you have detractors, passives, and promoters. So promoters are people that would be rating that question a 9 or a 10. So they rate your willingness to recommend your workplace to others a 9 or a 10. Those that are passive will typically select a 7 and an 8, and those who are detractors will score that a 0 through a 6. So how you calculate that is that you take the percent of those that said 9 and 10, and then you minus that from the people that said 0 through 6. You take those percentages, subtract them, and that is what gives you your Net Promoter Score. So we ask this question every year on our annual employee satisfaction survey. We specifically ask on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you willing to recommend BMC as for work to your family and friends? And then we actually have a follow-up question from that is if you didn't rate it a 9 or a 10, why not? What are some suggestions that you have? What are some improvements that you'd like to see over the next year so that you can rate it a 9 or a 10 the next time we do our survey? So that is how we use it. That's what it is. And we've been asking that the last couple of years on that survey. So we're able to track that data. So how our Net Promoter Score has been improving, we are very, very proud of this statistic and how we've been really succeeding with our Net Promoter Score over the last couple of years. So as you can see in 2021, we had 90% of our workforce take that annual satisfaction survey. And we, as a baseline, got a -30. And as just a little note, a Net Promoter Score ranges from a -100 to a +100. So we were on the side that we didn't want to be on in those negatives, that -30, when we really want to try and get as close to 100 as we possibly can. So that was our baseline. That was the first time that we asked that question. So then the next year in 2022, we asked that question again. We did have 88% of our workforce take that survey, and we greatly increased that to a 25. So we really bumped that up, and we're really, really proud of that. That was a big celebration year for, I think, all of our departments and our senior leadership team. We were all very excited to see that jump. And then last year as well, we asked that question again on our annual survey. We again had a very high score of 82% of our workforce take that survey again, and we even bumped it up even more to a 40 out of that 100. So we are now consistently staying on that positive end of the Net Promoter Score, and we couldn't be more excited. 2024 is obviously blanked out. We have not had our annual satisfaction survey yet. Our employee experience team is getting that all prepared and wrapped up right now to be going live for our employees next month. So in April, we will find out how many of our employees are taking that and what our new NPS score is. We do actually have our Net Promoter Score as one of our organizational goals. So we are really forefront. It's on the forefront. We're very focused on it. And our goal is to try and reach at least 50. So we're hoping all of the different things that we've done over the last 12 months can really get us to at least that 50, if not higher. So our fingers are crossed on that, and we're really excited to see the results of that as well. So I'll let Sarah take it over, but these are just some things that we have done that we feel that we can connect to why our score has significantly increased over the years. And so I'll have Sarah take that away from our employee experience team perspective.
Okay, so again, my name is Sarah, and I'm a part of the employee experience team. So these are things that we work on that team. And the two things that really have made a big difference are our attitude of gratitude and the best on our quest. So attitude of gratitude are two dry erase boards that are loaded with lots of colorful markers. And we place them in two spots in our hospital where employees pass by most often or hang out by most of the time. And it's a way to just give some instant recognition to our coworkers. So if somebody steps in and helps out or goes above and beyond anything you want to give recognition for, this is the place to do it. So a thank you, a shout out. You can see sometimes people doodle on it. It's just very attractive, and it's exciting to see your name on there. It's created lots of employee engagements. The boards are always full. We erase them every 2 weeks, and it doesn't take long, and they're full again. So it really creates a lot of a wellness of the employees and positive appreciation. The other thing is the best on our quest. So this is our transition on, or our idea of employee of the month. And we used to do something sort of like this quarterly. So only 4 employees were recognized for the year, which then that the nominations got low to none. I don't think it was on the forefront of anyone's mind just because it was so far and few between. And so we stepped it up, decided to do it monthly. So we have 12 people recognized a year, and these not peers nominate peers and based on our core values. So when anyone recognizes somebody really going above and beyond, want to give that special recognition, they nominate them, and then the nomination forms go to the employee experience team where we anonymously vote for the winner. The winner gets a parking spot, a pin to put on their badge, and then their face is recognized on our Instagram page, Facebook page, the sign out by the road. And then all 12 are then entered into a drawing at the end of the year for a day of PTO, which is really exciting.
Who wouldn't want a free day of PTO?
But now we get 6 to 12 nominations a month. It can be a lot to choose from because you want to give it to everyone.
And they're hard. I
yeah.
mean, people really write them very well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's hard to choose.
So yeah, those two things have worked really good for us. A lot of employee engagement and things that are really working.
So from the department leader perspective, some things that we have done over the last couple of years is like refreshing our new employee orientation. We noticed that new employees, we want to get them more on the forefront of where we're at with our transformational journey. It's really important for them to know that we are on this and that they're a part of that team and they're a part of making us the best place to work and best place to receive care. So we have recently refreshed our new employee orientation, where we have specific people from our journey, Carol included, myself, Gordy, our CEO. We all talk in different ways about our quest for excellence and how important it is for them to be a part of that journey. We specifically highlight like our 12 positive communication standards. We like doing that. We tell them about the structure of our teams. We subtly ask them to be members if they are interested in joining, if something is a passion of theirs and they want to be involved in the changes. This is a way to be involved in that. And from like a department leader perspective, from changing our orientation, we have actually also implemented like a checklist for leaders of departments so that they are able to like track and make sure that these new employees are actually going through and talking to those that they need to talk to in their onboarding period as well. So we piece those two together, and so far we just studied adjusted that again in January, and so far so good. That's been making a really good impact on our new employees. We have been rounding on them and seeing if they have any input for our orientation process, if they feel that they're meeting with the people that they're supposed to be meeting with, and all of those things. And so we plan on continuing to study, adjust, and look at that to make that as strong as it possibly can as well. And then another point is our organizational goal mind mapping. So that is the photo that we have on this slide, is that those are all of our department leaders annually. Before our fiscal year starts, we are already starting to talk about our organizational goals and getting those all set up and aligned before our fiscal year starts. So we have all of that fixed. So with that, we create our organizational goals actually specifically based off of our employee satisfaction survey. So each leader will get a copy of like what their departments have said from the survey, so they can look at that and make themes about what is maybe being talked about the most. How can we make that into a goal or a project that aligns with the goal? And so something that we started doing just a couple of years ago is a mind mapping activity in one of our leadership meetings. And so as you can see, we're all separated by groups. We have one of those big giant post-it notes with colored pens, so we can bring all that to the table. And what's in the middle of that post-it note is one of our pillars. So each table is focused on a whole different pillar in our strategic plan. And so we are actually just brainstorming and mind mapping different ideas that align with that pillar. And from there, we will actually create an organizational goal based on what we find as most important off of all of those mind bubbles and, from that mind mapping activity. We have also posted these to keep everybody informed and informed, I guess, of what we're doing at our employee trainings as well. So we've even had not only our senior leaders conducting this with department leaders, but department leaders and everybody else are actually seeing these openly at different trainings that we have internally as well. So people on the front line and all of our staff can also add their input, and that will help also transform what our organizational goals will be for the next year as well. So that mind mapping activity has been really fun. It's just a way to engage all of our department leaders in that process. So again, they feel like they're a part of making that goal. So they're gonna want to be more engaged and more empowered to make a change along with their department goals as well, and having all of that aligned. So that is our mind mapping activity. And so from a senior leadership perspective, some things that we have done more recently is senior leader rounding. So we have recently just started this. It's not too consistent yet because it is still in the beginning stages, but we are pretty proud of at least just starting the process. The mantra of Capstone, of course, we need to just start it. So how we have it transparently laid out is the top picture on this screen is that we have a rounding schedule all pre-made before the fiscal year starts. We know which senior leader will be rounding with what department. And so this is all out on our intranet, so that internal website that we have for employees only. So anyone at any time is able to go out and see what the rounding schedule is. They can anticipate which senior leader will be stopping into their department sometime that quarter. We also have what rounding questions we will be asking, so they can also be prepared to respond to those questions when we do come into that department. And then also the most important is that follow-up piece, so that stoplight report that we have in order to follow up from maybe different suggestions that a department had, and where are we at with that? Are we moving forward on it? Are we still waiting to hear back maybe for a quote or something, and so it's in that yellow, or is it red of something that maybe we need to table until next year? It's not necessarily a no, it's just a maybe not yet or not at this point. So we have all of that out transparently for any employee to look at any time. Our intranet is readily available on all of our computers. You can even get it up on your phone if you want to and check that at any time. So that's something that we have just recently started. Another tactic that we've done are our employee forums. This is something that we have been doing before our journey, but of course we have always wanted to study, adjust them, make them better every year. or every quarter, I should say. We do have these forums every quarter. We partner very closely with the social squad. So Sarah and other people on that team will actually help get a panel of experts to help talk about different topics that you're hearing employees want answers to. So it's fun that we make it more of an agenda based on what our employees are talking about. You know, are they wondering about a new provider, or where are we at with the financials? What are some other things, like our word of mouth campaign? Like, what type of events do we have coming up? Those,
where they can volunteer and
like get involved in those different ways. You know, and it's a great way to advertise when we have our annual survey coming up. So we have our forum coming up next week. We will be advertising about our survey going out, and we encourage everybody to take it, all of those kinds of things. So that's been something that's been really valuable as well, and getting the expert up there in like that panel form to talk about it.
Yes. And, say it keeps everything, everyone on the same page. There's no question, you know, we always get everything answered. It alleviates out rumors, and
I was just going to say it alleviates that rumor mill that may be going around about whatever. Yes,
everything's transparent.
Yes. And what we have done since COVID, I hate using the C word, but since COVID, we actually have improved our forums, and we actually record one of our sessions so that those that aren't scheduled to work that day, or just work night shift, or weekends, casual, whatever, are also able to stay up to date. So we do record a session, and we put that on our intranet so that they can watch that. All the handouts are there as well, so everyone can be on the same page. And it's a great way to coach somebody to, you know, hey, was this talked about? Absolutely it was. How about you go check out that recording and check out those handouts? Let me know if you have any questions. So it's a great talking point as well to use to keep people up to date. One of the last things that I wanted to highlight were our biannual employee trainings. So every May and November, we host a hospital-wide employee training where senior leaders on the steering team will have their own booth. And we will be talking about important things that we want people to know about. Example would be our Net Promoter Score. So as you can see from this bottom one, the theme was Star Wars, and we were educating our staff about the Net Promoter Score. So what it is, how it's measured, why it's important, why it's something that we want to highlight, how it's obtained, all of those different things, and then being transparent on what our results have been over the last couple of years as well, so that they can actually see the progress. You know, if something's not on the forefront, it's hard to remember what happened, you know, last year, let alone maybe what you had for dinner last night. So it's always a really great reminder to see, wow, that's how much we jumped up from year 2021 to 2022. So it actually really helped our staff, like, wow, we really did a lot, and that's incredible that we've made that jump and things like that. So just keeping it on the forefront. And then, as you can see, just a side note, since I've already talked about it, on the left side of that picture, you can see those giant Post-it notes with our pillars in the middle. Those are our mind mapping things that we also hung up and had Post-it notes available for employees to write down a suggestion or improvement and stick it up on there. So we had everybody's involvement with that mind mapping activity to help create our organizational goals or different strategies that they'd like to see to help also improve our Net Promoter Score as well. So it all really kind of comes full circle out. So and so then I just wanted to include a quote from Stephen Covey, strength lies in differences, not similarities. I thought that this quote really resonated with what we're talking about today, of how we all need to come together and we're aligning for the same common goal, the same mission, the same vision, that we want to become the best place to work and the best place to receive care. And you can't do that without literally everybody involved, from frontline employees to department leaders to senior leaders. You're all in it together. And that's really what our Quest for Excellence journey is all about. It's all about having different perspectives and listening to everybody and being open to make those different changes in order to make it better, and keep studying, adjusting everything that you're doing. And it just really comes together. You're all aligning for the same common goal, no matter what level of leadership you are. So it's important to get everybody involved. So just some final tips and takeaways that Sarah, Carol, and I all had. We just all kind of had one little tip that we'd like to share. So
Yes, my tip was start small. Even a little recognition goes a long way. So the boards in the hallway, it was something very small. All we have to do is make sure there's markers at work and erase it every other week.
yeah,
And those recognitions go a long way. And we got a lot of good feedback, and they're used a lot. So
yeah.
something simple and very easy to do.
And something fun too that I've
Oh.
noticed is that patients have actually been starting to use them
Yeah.
too, to shout out our employees as well.
Yeah.
So if somebody or like a family visitor was in our inpatient, they might write a little note about one of the nurses that have been taking care of them, which is just fabulous
Yeah.
too, to see that that's actually spread further than what we've anticipated it to as well. So
Little and easy.
yeah, absolutely. And then Carol's tip and takeaway is to live those 12 positive communication standards. High in the hallway is a really big one that is always addressed in like new employee orientation, that we really have been successful on. With all of the new employees are like, man, everyone is so friendly. They all say hi. And it just makes me feel so warm and welcome. And it's true. I mean, just me going through the hallway, Sarah, I'm sure you've noticed it too. When you're walking around, we always say hi to each other, which is really great. I have personally witnessed people actually navigating people to the department that they need to go to as well. And so that has been really, really great. And living all of them obviously is important. High in the hallway is just one example that I feel that we have really strived for and have really been successful in and continue to be successful in. But all of the other ones obviously are equally as important. You can't have great customer service without living all 12 of those positive communication standards. So those are really important. And then my takeaway is to be transparent and welcome that feedback. As you can see, senior leaders, we try to be as transparent as possible with what's happening in the organization. We use actually our intranet quite a bit for that transparency, just because everybody has easy access to it. And different departments can use their communication board to print stuff out from there and put them on their communication board for those staff that like nursing, dietary, CNAs, that don't have as much time at a computer. But it's really so important to just have that transparency. And you'd be amazed to see the difference of how many people want to be engaged and be a part of the change when you're transparent with them. And then welcoming feedback as well. Positive, great. Let's recognize that. Let's spread the word about how great we're doing. Google reviews or social media are great ways to share that. Internal patient stories of successes are really great. But even any negative things that come our way as well, I like to look at that as an opportunity to create something positive out of it as well. So you want to welcome that. You don't want to necessarily push away that negative and think, oh, well, it's just that one person. That could actually spark a change that could lead to a process improvement, or new something in place at registration or patient access. So it's all of those little things that add up. And again, it might alleviate an issue down the road for somebody else to have to address. But working together as a team and addressing those feedback, whether positive or negative, is so great. Share the positives. We all want to share those. And then even the negatives, turn it into a positive. What great things can you do to transform that into something great that we can now say that every patient experiences? So thank you. I'm Hallie again. This is some of my contact information. So if you have any questions about anything that we have addressed or want to reach out to me with any different questions, I am more than willing to chat about our quest. I'm very proud of all the work that we've done and how we have just worked together and really blossomed as a team here.
Yes.
So
It has been wonderful to watch. I'm looking in the chat, and I thought maybe you want to address maybe a question or two in here since we
Sure.
have some time. So Joanne Preston mentioned a question here. Could you share an example of something you are more transparent about now than you might have been in the past?
Mm. Oh, Joanne with the great
Yes.
questions.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but I just
No,
thought
that's
an
okay. It's a
example would be
yeah.
helpful because I think that word transparent, you know, sometimes it's like, well, like what? What would be something that you would be more transparent about?
Oh, I would say in the process of finding new providers, they
Yeah.
was help, you know, I would say I didn't know. That was one thing I didn't realize so much went into, and so when we were wondering why a certain specialist wasn't coming, they said straight up, "We've interviewed this many. We
Mhm.
have this one on the docket." So they answered all the questions. So
And that's where we address that mainly through our employee forums. We talk a lot about our service changes or additions,
yeah,
and new providers that will be coming on board, things like that. Being in a rural area, providers are sometimes hard to come by. You have to definitely go a long ways to try and find somebody that is willing to commute up here or move. So yeah, like Sarah said, that is a good one. Mine would be, I guess, just having a channel to be transparent with. Our intranet, which we call My BMC, is newer. I'd say that probably came up, gosh, about when we started our journey, maybe.
yeah,
We never had an intranet before then, and so how we communicated different messages through different channels, I feel was kind of messy. But now it's like, if you have any question, go check that intranet first, and there's a lot of things on there. You know, you can find out anything about our teams, what they've been up to, who's on them. You know, what are senior leader roundings doing? What are our organizational goals? If you need to put in a maintenance or an IT ticket, schedule a conference room for a meeting.
phone numbers,
Lunch menu, that's
Like,
always very
everything's
important.
Yeah,
So the
that's fun.
intranet is new, and I'd say that's a new way of how we've been transparent with almost everything.
Yeah.
I'd like to say. So
Well done. I just have to take a moment and say, well done. And I think, and knowing your organization, what really strikes me in your presentation is that you took specific things and you just did them. And you could have said, oh, it's too overwhelming. There's too much to do. We have too many issues, but you didn't take on the whole elephant. You just said, let's do these specific things. And you're really starting to see that difference. So I'm really proud of you too.
thank you.
Thanks.
And with that too, I mean, it's all about tweaking it and making it manageable. So my example of the senior leader rounding, I mean, yeah, you can ask 5 questions, but let's just take it slow. So right now, we as senior leaders have like 2 to 3 questions that we ask instead of going all out with maybe 5 different questions. We're starting small and then are hoping to build on that as we get more comfortable and departments are, you know, more conscious of, oh, so that's what this is. Oh, that's why you're here. Those kind of things. So it's also important to start small, like Sarah's takeaway was too, and just taking it one step at a time.
Joanne also had another request for you. Joe asked, would you be willing to share more detailed instructions, and maybe not verbally right now if that would be too hard, about the mind mapping activity of how you do your goal setting every year. So your process there is, you know, again, copy and steal everything, make it yours, make it better. And that's exactly what you've done with your mind mapping for your goal setting process every year. So do you have
So
that
we
written out in instructions that we could share, or would you like to verbally
Yes.
maybe give a little more depth?
I could always probably come up with something
Yeah.
to write down. I don't know if we have it officially written down. But we take it to our monthly department leader meeting. We specifically make 1 month like a 2-hour long meeting, so we're able to really spend time just focusing on our goal cycle. And so prior to that meeting, our annual employee satisfaction survey is completed. The team and senior leadership partner and work together to pick out different themes, you know, really analyze the results. We do not have Press Ganey like I know some other hospitals do. We internally try to analyze that data. So the team and senior leadership will work together. We'll pick out different, like, top 3 themes, let's say, and we just align that with the 6 pillars that we have. we'll go to that meeting and really just forefront it of what did you see from your department surveys, so everyone gets to see, you know, kind of what their employees are saying, and take some things from that and how could we almost broaden that and make that more aligning under quality or our people or our community, things like that. And yeah, we just kind of start just randomly brainstorming, bad idea, whatever. There's no bad idea in the room. It's all something that we can work on. So from that pillar being in the middle, you just spread out an idea that relates to quality. And you can think back with your survey of this came up, maybe this could be a topic. And then from that other bubble there, then you just spread out different ideas from that bubble, you know, so it's kind of a chaotic mess. But what we do at the end then, so after every group has done their own, we share that as a group, and then we actually post them up on the wall, give everyone a little sticker and go up to each one and think and like rate which one is the most important. So they'll put that sticker next to one of the topics on that mind map, and whatever one has the most bubbles or like the most stickers on it is the one that we find as the most valuable, that people are like, yes, we should really work on this, let's do something with this. And so as a senior leadership steering team, we will come up with what that organizational goal is then, based on where our leaders rate it. And then again, we also do post those at our employee training, or at least we did, was it last year that we did that? To get more input of what else are employees seeing and how could we tie that in. Does that kind of answer how we kind of did that in a nutshell?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. I think some of this, you know, the examples as I listen to you here today, share your story, and, you know, a nice chunk of your story is that um, you can tell that there is a, a continuous cadence of activity. So, you know, we'll hear people say, well, we've done that. Well, we've tried that. But they have not gotten to that consistent cadence of continuous effort. You know, oh, we did that once. We didn't get like these glorious, huge results. So we stopped and we went on to something else, versus do it again, make it better. Keep going till you optimize it and get the results that you know it can get. And I think that your quest has been just a wonderful example of taking that coaching and that advice and that plan of, it's not one and done that's going to get you these results, that's going to take your net promoter score from -30 to +40, right? It's not going to be just one thing and doing it once. It's a regular cadence of commitment and action. And so I heard it here today from both of you, that continuous cadence of quarterly employee forums, semi-annual employee training, quarterly leadership training, every 2 weeks, wiping off those boards and getting more positive recognition, every month, recognizing employees and getting more and more nominations, every year, setting your goals, every month, doing your rounding, those kinds. So it's this continuous, and then you use the word study and adjust. So you just don't keep doing it. You say, okay, how can we make it better? How can we make it better? How can we make each forum better than anyone before? Each training better? So I think that, you know, when people see these results, it's not one thing, and it's not doing one thing once. It's about, like you said, taking those simple things and getting so consistent. Some of them common sense, just not commonly and consistently practiced. And you're reaping the rewards of that. Your community, your workforce is reaping the results of that level of commitment and ongoing commitment, not just in a month or a quarter or a year, but years now.
Well,
Very
and
proud of you.
yeah, well, thank you.
Well, an
You can
example
probably tell I'm so proud of you.
to touch on that too, even the attitude of gratitude
Yeah.
boards started out as little post-it notes. They wrote the gratitude on and stuck it up there, and then sometimes they would fall off, or they're just
Yeah, it
so
was a
small you
mess.
couldn't even see them. So then we're like, what, let's make this better. Like, let's get lots of colorful markers and like write it as big as you want on the board. And yeah, and then it got even
I
more.
forgot about that.
I know,
Yeah.
it got
You
even,
guys changed out the Post-it notes every month, so it was like just a new design of Post-it
Yes.
note. But
but it wasn't
But
big
you ended
enough,
up
or they fell
taping them
off. Yes,
on.
because they fell off. So,
It's just a simple example, isn't it, of
yeah,
study adjust, like,
so simple.
okay, how do but, every time an employee or an employee team problem solves something like that, they're learning to problem solve, right? And they're feeling empowered, and they apply that to their job, right? Outside of the team, so it's so hard to map out the ripple of impact of something like being an employee team member or offering up a suggestion on a survey and it gets used and makes a positive difference. It really
And
makes employees proud.
sorry, what you just said made me think of something that I'm also really proud of that we do is from our like last survey, as we're getting prepared now for our next survey to go out, and we have forums right before the survey goes out, is that the social squad actually looks back at the last 12 months and picks out the specific things that we did as an organization over the last 12 months that literally connected the dots with the survey based on what people
Mhm.
said or wanted an improvement on or a suggestion on, and saying, hey, remember this suggestion? This is what we did. Here are the things that we did. And that is actually really shared at our employee forum. So we have
Mhm.
another team member on the social squad that's actually compiling that right now and is really like literally connecting the dots. We'll type that out on a handout that is handed out at the forum. And honestly, when we did that, was it last year, the first time that we
Yes.
did that,
Yeah.
that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you're right. We did do that. I forgot that we
Yes.
initiated that, or
Yeah.
I can't think of a specific example,
Yeah.
but that, wow,
Yeah.
that's right. We did make movement on that, or, oh, that changed because of the survey. Wow. Okay. So employees are listened to and they are heard, and we are trying to make movement that way. So we're planning on doing that again because we got really great results from that. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, always want to connect the dots to it,
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
team.
And it's really just providing evidence and reminders that, we heard you, that we honored your voice.
Mhm.
You can't fix everything that's mentioned, but there's a process for deciding what gets worked on, and then there's a process for working on it, and there's a process for connecting the dots that, hey, yeah, we worked on it and it worked.
Yeah.
So, so I just want to formally thank you again for sharing your journey and being able to, put together some things to pay forward to other organizations that might have similar needs to improve their net promoter score, their employee experience, and all the positive ripple effects that can happen in an organization when you have a really engaged workforce that's contributing beyond their day-to-day job descriptions to help the organization with key strategies like patient experience, growth, quality, safety, community, all of those things. It's pretty fun to watch. Well, thank you, everyone. And as Whitney mentioned at the start, there will be a recording, a sharing of the slides, and then some future events. Watch for notices on those. And I'm betting that one might be on mind mapping. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll thank you again, Hallie and Sarah, for your time.
Thank you so much for having us. We're
Yes.
very honored to be a part of this
Yes.
today. So thank you.
Thank you.